when you talk about data strategy, when you talk about making decisions, what kind of conversations or what does an engagement even look like to help a customer understand what is possible with not only the technology side, but also how to leverage that component in order to get the ROI?
Yeah. So one of the things we've had really interesting, good success with very recently, my colleagues that focus on AI and data have been running these executive workshops, really to help people understand what it is they can do with that data. So in terms of the engagement, there's the design thinking, the what problems are worth solving type exercise. That would be, I'm sure we've all participated in those. You'd rank them in terms of benefit and difficulty to implement. In terms of the data strategy piece, I really am an advocate of prioritizing the data. Some super useful and absolutely mission critical. And then on the other spectrum, not so much. Frequently during an ERP implementation, everybody knows the data's a challenge, right? And sometimes in parallel, you do some sort of effort to clean that up and mitigate that risk. Great. For that moment in time, that data might be good enough or perfect for a moment in time. What you need to step back and ask yourself is, how did it get there in the first place? And it probably got in whatever crappy state it's in because it was nobody's responsibility to own it, to manage it. You wouldn't do that with a physical asset, or hopefully you wouldn't. Usually we're more deliberate about establishing governance. You are the custodian of this, you're the maintainer of this, there's a budget to do it. We need to have that same discipline with the data. Back to what does the engagement look like? It would be some kind of design thinking optioneering on the front end. What is it we could accomplish and why is it important to us? Why is this a problem worth solving? There'd be that. Do we have the data in order to solve that problem? Maybe you don't, and maybe it's far too expensive to get that data. But maybe there are clever ways that we can develop a proxy for the data we really want, right? By using some clever data, creating some synthetic data or some analytics on something that gives us that insight. Prioritizing that and then establishing governance and then having a place that we can get at that data, whether it is the ERP, whether it is some sort of data repository that is extracting from the ERP and all of the other technology. That's the other thing. But I mean, I'm guilty of this as well. Sometimes I like to think of the ERP as the center of the universe, but there's other data sources, right? So you need to be able to look at that holistically because when you're answering meaningful questions for the business, it's unlikely that it's all in one place. You are going to have to merge that data and draw insights potentially from multiple sources, which again has implications for how you structure it, integration, governance, data strategy, etc. So back to your 3 to 5 years for an ERP, it's because there's a lot of that type of work that's happening under the covers and it gets tagged as the ERP project.